Okay, I'm back. So, this gentleman was actually a professor at the university that I went to, and what he did was it was interesting because there was almost like similar to what you see in the Netflix documentary and the Hood Horrors documentary, is you see like this community of people gathering around, their melanin and just being black folks. Now, I was at a historically black university, and this was like a subset of within the community there of people who, people call them like hoteps or just black consciousness. This is like within the black consciousness movement. And this professor was one of the professors that was kind of really promoting this lifestyle amongst the student body at the school. And so when there was a new moon, when there was a full moon, when like all of these things were going on, then he would host like different events at his house. And he was married, had a wife, had children. But it would be like a fire with drums and, all that kind of stuff. So there weren't like everyone wasn't invited to this party. Only a select few. Sounds similar, right? Only a select few people, would be invited after like a certain type of like vetting process. There would be people from the community too that would be there. And so there was a distinction. It was almost like trying to perhaps protect like the professional, reputation by only allowing certain students in. But anyways, I digress. I was one of those students. He was never my professor, but he was my sister's professor, and she introduced me to him. So I met him, and I remember him saying something, or him mentioning, this is a little while after, mentioning Nature Boy and what he was doing, and thinking like, man, it's really cool, like just living off the land. And these were things that he had aspired to do, and I believe that he and his wife at some point, had did some level of. And what I didn't know is that this man was okay. Wait. I'm skipping ahead. So I was propositioned. To come and be like the second wife. Right now, me at the time, I'm similar to the women that you saw in the videos. It's something where people are saying that they were not victims, that they were, complacent. Now, realistically, like Velvet, clearly she wanted to be with him. Like she just wanted him, right? And I think when people are seeking for identity, when they're seeking for a deeper meaning to life, because maybe they've experienced a lot of things that were horrible, so they are trying to, in some instances, escape their reality. They're not trying to take accountability for the things that may have happened to them that they may not have had any control over, right? So I don't know about blaming. I've heard people like blaming the other people in the cult of carbonation, and I don't know if that's entirely fair. However, in my case, which subsequently led me down to Ifa, into Ifa tradition, I was really wanting to understand who I was as a black woman. Going to HBCU too, like it kind of, coming from California, I'm originally from California, it was just kind of like this hyped up, like I wanted to understand, who I was, like what this meant, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was easy. And then also deconstructing Christianity at the same time, because that was happening simultaneously. It's like, these letters weren't in the in the text, or even in the world at that time, like just trying to, which is more like a Hebrew Israelite rhetoric. But anyways, it was something that, there was something that drew me in, like this idea that we have some type of innate power, that we are empowered, and we can do different things by being closer to the land, by honoring, all of the things that God has created, the sun, the moon, the stars, etc., it was something appealing to that, especially coming from a place where there was not a strong identity or like rooted values, or someone that's coming from that type of place. Okay. Anyways, so he asked me to be his second wife. Now, the woman was there, right? So she knew all of this was going on. She's like, yes, let's do this. And I was brought in as kind of like a second wife. Now, what I didn't know was that there was this entirely like spiritual aspect to everything that was happening. I remember him asking me, like, well, what is it that you want? Like, we know what we want from you out of this situation. We want peace. We want, companionship. We want blah, 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 blah. Like, what is it that you want? And I'm just like, I was like barely 20 something, like early 20s, maybe 21. And so I'm like, I don't know. I said something very frivolous. And I remember him telling me that he had did a reading on a divination on me being, a part of this community that he was building, and that everything was good and like all these things and whatever. Now, it wasn't all good. This man was one, they brought me in because the wife was tired of him cheating, or I don't know, she would consider it cheating, but him having relationships with other women and her not knowing. So that was already going on before I even got into the mix. So me coming in was like, okay, well, at least I know, this person and all of that stuff. I didn't know none of that coming in. I also didn't know all of the ritualistic pieces that were a part of the entire dynamic. Like, now I know they didn't talk about this specifically in the Hulu documentary, at least, but there was this big spiritual component, to I know what I experienced. And they would do like certain rituals around the full moon and the new moon, and a lot of the times that involved sex. A lot of the times, every time, it involved sex. Like, and it was, I don't know if I can say that on here. I hope I can. But, it involved some type of ritualistic, practice. And I didn't really pick up on it. Is this? Yeah, I don't know how to do this. Okay. It's recording now. Okay. And what was also very similar to Nature Boy is that I realized that I wasn't the only one. So he had set himself up to be like this guru who could teach women how to cultivate their female sexual energy. Anytime any woman got any type of reading from him, now again, this is a professor at an historically Black university. And anytime anybody would get like a reading from him or anything like that, he'd always end on, you got to learn how to cultivate your female sexual energy. And he'd provide books, and he'd provide, and then, the ones that he would choose, the ones that he would like pick to, maybe I want to try to get this one in the fold. He'll invite him. Well, you can come over to, to my place on such and such time and blah, 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 blah. Right? Okay. I'm going to stop this so then I can tell you the other part of the story. When I realized, like, oh, this is not okay. Oh, this man is a cult leader. Like, this man is doing some other stuff. And I got up out there. So I'll be back with part 3.